What's going on, guys? Splice here, just doing a little knife review. So I've never actually done a knife review before, but I've watched plenty of them. Think I can do my own unique thing here. Big fan of Cajun Blaze. Big fan of Nut and Fancy, Mr. Dagon, John Wayne Colt. You guys are all great knife reviewers, and I love that you all kind of have your own unique perspective. So that's what I'm hoping to try to add to the knife community here by just kind of letting you guys know who I am and where knives kind of fall into my life. Personally, I will never probably need a knife in a self-defense role, so I don't assume so in my knife purchasing. Generally, what I'm going to go for is something around 3 to 3.25 inches, something in not too exotic of a steel, because I work in a restaurant. My knives are going to get wet on occasion, and I might need to just pull it out, cut a lemon, put it away, in which case I have to pull it out, wipe it off, get the lint off, cut it, and then clean it again. But if I don't have the time to do that, to clean it afterwards, then I'm going to have a little lemon juice on my knife, and I can't be worried about a ZDP 189 rusting over on me or an M4 rusting over on me. So generally in my lineup, I prefer things that are kind of considered, to the common man, a high-end steel, but more of a medium-level blade steel on my knives. Like VG10, for example, which these two here are wearing, is probably my favorite blade steel at this point. I mean, it gets sharp really easily. It doesn't dull out very quickly at all. I mean, I use the stretch here to whittle like 3 sticks for, roasting up marshmallows. Didn't go dull even in the slightest bit. Was ridiculously sharp after that. And that was before I even had a sharp maker. I was just using a Lansky system. But that said, S30V is sick too, and it's another, blade steel I tend to go towards. It does have more of a propensity to chip, as my Sage has actually in small part, which has been fun trying to get that bit out with just the regular hard stones. But yeah, I really dig S30V too, and they both have great corrosion resistance on them. It's just a nice blade steel. 8CR13 MOV as well is great for the tenacious. It's a nice cheap steel, really, but it doesn't really have the attributes of what you would consider quote-unquote cheap. So yeah, that's just where I stand on blade steels. In terms of length, in terms of weight, I generally like to keep my knives around 3 ounces. For something like a tenacious, of course, it's going to be a little more than 3 ounces. However, you have to consider that for the size you're getting too. And for me, I don't want to go over too big of a size. This is really the biggest I want my knives to be. Because, again, I work in a restaurant. I work around a lot of girls, too, and I don't want them to go, oh my god, he's got a knife, he's a sketch ball. And then I don't want my bosses coming up to me going, you can't carry a knife at work, because you guys know how that would be. It sucks not being able to carry a knife at your workplace, because I use my knives all the time. I mean, it could be anything stupid as, as I said before, cutting lemons, but also just cutting open boxes, cutting open packages. I can just so quickly just cut it out, put it down, done. But to the average person, they see me pulling out and go, oh my god, that knife opened quickly, it must be automatic. The blade's so long, it must be a killer's knife. It's black, it must be evil. But I like having a nice amount of variety in my collection, and I use the Tenacious as my hiking knife because it gives you a nice amount of blade length. It's 8CR13 MOV, so it's easy to sharpen in the field. It cuts nicely. It's full flat ground. It's got a nice robust liner lock. It just fits nicely in the hand. The jimping's great. But again, this just doesn't really fit my practical everyday element that I would have in the workplace. And I work like 6 days a week, so there you go. On the other hand, something like the stretch is just so perfect. I wish I felt better carrying this at work because this thing just cuts phenomenally. It's just the angles to it, the grip on it in every single way you could possibly hold it just feels amazing. Like, this knife is just made to be held. The jimping's fantastic. The choil's fantastic. I mean, this is just such a sick knife. And I'm going to do its own individual review, but what I'm really coming around to are the knives I really, really, really dig, particularly. And I really particularly dig this knife, although I don't carry this every day. This is kind of more of I might need to cut something big on a day off kind of knife. For me, at least. Take that for what you will in your own profession. I'm also tempted to carry my Delica a lot at work. As you can see, I kind of modified this a little. I put some silver paint within there. It just looked a little too pastel-like to me, as it was before. I also took the black off the clip, which I think looks way, way better, personally. But my and this is just a sick knife, too. The full flat ground blade is so ultra thin. It just cuts so well. And this is unquestionably the best cutting knife I have in my collection, too. And the ergonomics are great as well. It just, sits in there nicely. But there are two things I don't like, or maybe three things, I guess you could say, that stop this from being in my pocket every day. One, I want a blade that's a little bit longer. Because this I'm not going to say it comes up short, even 2/3 or a third of the time, but I like, my knife to be able to be capable of anything I'm going to generally throw at it. Another thing, I have big hands. I like when I close my hand up that there's contact there into, this area and there. So it fits it nicely. Because again, I have big hands. And, the jimping's great and everything. It kind of seats it well, but it feels like the knife's more of an angle when I'm holding it like that. And also, this really isn't much of a knock against the knife because the pocket clip is great. But at work, if I'm walking around, there's that much of the knife sticking out of my pocket. It's also shark. So that ultimately led me to the Sage 1, which has become my EDC, well, basically every day. I have a Sebenza as well, but the lock kind of broke on it for one reason or another. Possibly the heat treat. I don't know. Anyway. I've been carrying the Sage 1 like every single day, and this thing is just perform. And really, I'm not going to say I carry a knife because of the aesthetics, but I love the carbon fiber. It captures the light just incredibly. Like look at that. It's nice. Looking at this knife in the catalog, all the specs fit exactly what I was looking for. I think it's 3 ounces exactly. The blade length is 3 inches. It's full flat ground. It's S30V, which I hadn't at the time had any experience with. This is my first S30V blade, and it's just this is just an extremely well-rounded knife. It's very versatile. It fits in the hand, like I was saying over there. It fits in the hand really well because it has that little bit of thickness to it. Not too much thickness, but just enough where it really feels like it's just set in my hand nicely. And you can also advance forward on your grip too, and you still have a nice amount of knife just pocketed into your hand. And if I wanted to really get into whatever I'm cutting, I can do it like that. It holds comfortably like that, were I so inclined, like that, ice pick, reverse ice pick, whatnot, because it's just a very ergonomically pleasing knife. Liner lock opens really, really fast. It's really smooth. There's just no play at all either in this thing. Up, down, side to side. And, it's got that nice wire deep pocket clip as well, so that's all you see sticking out of the knife. Just a little bit of carbon fiber and a little bit of, silver hanging out there. But it looks elegant, too. I love the way the bolsters are done in there as well. It's just a beautiful looking knife, and it's not too assuming of a design either. It just looks like a slick gentleman's pocket knife, which is what it is, but it's also the perfect EDC knife without compromising on any elements that, I don't like to compromise in with my knife carrying. So this is my EDC knife now. It just performs. It's not very hard to sharpen at all. It stays sharp. I just really dig it. So yeah, that's my main EDC knife. I'll probably go over my the rest of my EDC as well. But this is what I'm going to be carrying on any given day, and it defines who I am as a knife user, really, I think. So that's why I wanted to kind of show that off to you. And yeah, hope you guys like what you see. Hope you like what you heard, and hope you check out my videos henceforth. Thanks for watching.